Hi folks, Uncle Griff here. I wanted to start off my very first video talking about some books that usually get overlooked. Most people seem to hate markings on books. I don't mind them as long as they tell the story of the book. I always say some books you collect for the story on the pages and some books you collect for the story of the pages, where that book was at a specific time. And I'd like to give you a couple examples to see if maybe you'll agree with me. So, first up, the series that I collect the most, Don Winslow of the Navy. Now, this is Don Winslow of the Navy #1, and it's pretty low grade, but that's okay, because this book has a story behind it in an interesting way to me. I'll try to push it up so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but written on the cover are very specific words: Ismuth, occupy, and a few others. So when I look at this book, and I see Byzantine here as well, I'm looking at a book in 1943 in the height of World War II, and I can picture a kid in a classroom taking a history class or a social studies class or maybe a geography class and writing these words on there as the teacher describes where the current fighting is going on. To me, that makes this book pretty cool. Most people would hate writing on a book, but on this book, because of what it is and where it was from, I think it makes it pretty cool. And next up on my list, Don Winslow #9. Now this book, this is the highest graded copy on the census, and it's the only graded copy on the census. Doesn't mean it's necessarily rare, though if you see it, I'd recommend picking it up. It doesn't seem to be very common. But what makes this cool is this stamp right here. Now the stamp right here, you can see that it says Checking Copy Advanced Makeup Department. Now, as I understand it, Fawcett, where this is from, the Crowley pedigree, kept the very first book as it was coming off the press. They would pull it aside, open it up, make sure the colors were right, that the ads were right, that everything lined up, and that became their checking copy. This is that book. So some people could say they have a copy of this book, but I think I have the very first copy of this book, which makes it cool in my mind. Most people would hate stamps on their books. That stamp to me makes it pretty darn cool. I hope you'll agree. Finally, I wanted to talk about this book. This book is Dick Wingate. Now, Dick Wingate of the U.S. Navy was a recruiting tool for the Navy in the Korean War. This is from 1952, in the height of the Korean War. Not necessarily a high-value book. Matter of fact, this is what we like to call a swamp puppy where I'm from, because it looks like it's been dragged through the swamp. Pretty low grade. But what makes this specific book cool is what's on the back. On the back of this book, there's a stamp. And I'll see if I can get it up close enough so you can read it. This book was in the recruiting office in Aberdeen, South Dakota, at the time that it was stamped. So in 1952, in the height of the Korean War, this book was sitting in a recruiter's office trying to convince people to join the Navy. Pretty cool if you ask me. Anyway, short video, my first one. I hope it goes okay. And I hope I convince you to look over little imperfections in a book and look for those imperfections that make that book special. To me, each one of those has its own story to tell because of those imperfections. And I'd rather have them than a higher graded copy just because of those imperfections. Anyway, Uncle Griff signing off. Hope you guys have a great day, and I hope I see you soon. Bye-bye.